The Cowboys lose to the Eagles 24-20. You see the score there, and it felt like the world came back together. You see a stat line there: Jalen Hurts 19-23, 152, 2 rushing touchdowns. Let's look at this. We're going to break this game down in a lot of ways, and obviously there is one huge portion of this game that we will get to. But let's take a look from last night of the good, the bad, and the ugly of what we saw from a divisional matchup that absolutely gave us all the drama we could possibly ask. You referenced it. We had an hour and a half stop in the middle of this thing for Lightning. Even Lightning wanted to get involved in the opening night of the NFL season.
It was just so perfectly disgusting, wasn't it? And especially a meeting of these two teams. But I do think it's fair to say that there was plenty of good that we saw last night. Maybe good that we expected on one side. Maybe good that, frankly, I didn't expect from the Cowboy side. There was plenty of bad, and there was plenty of ugly in this one. But I think the first thing that I want to start off with, one of my biggest takeaways, at least from the Cowboys side, was their offense looked significantly better than really I expected. And look, the Dallas Cowboys have been the butt of a lot of jokes so far this past offseason. Trading Micah Parsons, I think we all laughed at Dallas Cowboys fans. We laughed at Jerry Jones. And I think we kind of laughed at the hire of Brian Schottenheimer, but I was really pleasantly surprised by what we saw from Dak last night. He was 21 of 34, 188 yards. The stat line isn't going to pop off the page. And obviously the stat line would have looked significantly better had CeeDee Lamb come down with some of those passes that he really should have caught when you're a $35 million wide receiver. But we'll get into the CeeDee Lamb of it all. I thought Dak Prescott looked sharp. I thought Dak Prescott looked dangerous at times. I thought the run game looked significantly better than I expected it. Javonte Williams was excellent, 54 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Miles Sanders, the Cowboys as a whole, ran for 5.5 yards a crack. Like, that's gonna do it every single time. And I know there was no Jalen Carter, famously, comically. But, to run for 5.5 yards a crack, especially for a Cowboys run game that I had some questions about, it didn't feel like this was, your Ezekiel Elliott Cowboys run game. But against that Philadelphia Eagles defense, even without Jalen Carter, I think I was really impressed, or at least pleasantly surprised. Did it look like a championship caliber offense? No, it did not. But it looked better than I thought it would.
So I'll give you the good. To me, the good's how I feel today about my Super Bowl pick. I am more confident today, right now, in the Philadelphia Eagles repeating to the Super Bowl, getting to the Super Bowl again, than I was 24 hours ago, and I picked them. Like, to me, this Eagles team lost Jalen Carter 8 seconds in. 8 seconds in. He spit. He gets ejected 8 seconds in. They lose a player on the opening kickoff that's carted off the field, which is a weird emotion. They deal with all the emotional stuff, the banner going up that they didn't even watch. Fine. And then everybody will come in and say, yeah, but look at that defense. It wasn't good enough. Okay, well, A, you are without Jalen Carter, which is a wild part of this. But B, yeah, they spent the whole night picking on the second corner for the Eagles. Of course, that's what you should do. But most teams aren't going to have Dak throwing to CeeDee and George Pickens. Like, that is one of the best 1-2 combos you're going to find. And if you include the quarterback, it's one of the best 1-2-3 combos you're going to find. So we have an Eagles team that was without their best player on the defensive side of the ball that's still trying to figure out what they're trying to do with their second corner, and that committed more mental mistakes than I can remember. The end of the first half, remember, there was a pass interference and a roughing the passer call that essentially moved the Cowboys almost to midfield in a matter of 2 plays. The Eagles were sloppy, and they still won this football game. The Eagles defense wasn't quite right, and they still won this football game. The Eagles did so many things that are uncharacteristic for Philly, and they still won the game. Yeah, in a conference full of questions that I don't have nearly as many questions today about Philadelphia as I did even a day ago. Even through some of the sloppiness in this, I'm more confident that they're headed back to the Super Bowl today than I was yesterday.
I think there's a few different ways that you can look at it. Really, 2 different ways that you can look at it. Whether you want to look at it from a glass half full optimistic perspective or a nitpicky perspective. That the Eagles had almost 100 penalty yards in the first half alone. Brutal. Jalen Carter got ejected for spitting on Dak Prescott. Like, can we talk about that for a second? Like, what? What? Jalen Carter, the Eagle, one of the best defensive players in the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the best defensive players in the National Football League, was ejected in the first game of the season because he spit on the Cowboys quarterback right in front of a referee when every single camera in the city of Philadelphia was on him and on Dak Prescott. wild. What a start. Without
That
Jalen Carter,
Caroline, stick there for a second. Let's do this. Let's go right there, because we have something on this show, particularly for people and fans that do stupid things. Let's let Jalen Carter take the walk of shame. This is, you're right. Every camera in the stadium caught it. And, I just want to say this. I see a bunch of Philly fans saying Dak spit first. I don't care. We are not 12-year-old children. When you were a kid, if you walked in and it was like, why'd you hit your brother? Well, he hit me first. That never worked. It does not work as adults. As a society, we have to stop arguing like we are 10-year-old children that need to be taken back and spanked, right? Like, there is some element here of, I don't care if Dak did spit at the ground. I don't care if Dak did. I don't care. There is visual camera evidence of Jalen Carter directly spitting on another man. Whatever he gets from this, he deserves, because that is one of the most disrespectful and flat-out stupid things that you can do 8 seconds into a season. Jalen Carter takes the walk of shame.
A walk of shame, walk the plank, anything, any term that you want to use. Also, that clip from Seinfeld is fantastic. But how stupid can you be? I mean, come on. We understand that this game, the game of football, is a game of inches. And any penalty, any bad decision can be the difference between a win or a loss, making or missing the playoffs, winning or losing a Super Bowl. And I will take this, like, one of my favorite little anecdotes from when I covered the Tennessee Titans for several years. Mike Vrabel, when he was the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, he would say several times after dumb penalties or fights that happened in practice, he would always say, don't do dumb stuff. He said a different word, but this is a family-friendly program. Don't do dumb stuff that hurts the team. It is so simple, but it is so impactful. And there have been so many examples where I feel like that little anecdote has been applicable. Just don't do dumb stuff that hurts the team. Don't do dumb penalties. Don't commit dumb turnovers. Don't do dumb things off the field that keep you off the field and hurts your team. Like, don't do dumb stuff that hurts the team. Last night, Jalen Carter did a dumb thing that hurt his football team. And if the Eagles lost last night, which there was a possibility, there was a door open for the Cowboys to come back and finish out that game and score in the final 2 minutes of that game. And of course, we'll get into all the intricacies of that. The Cowboys had a path to winning that football game last night. And I know they didn't, and we can play the coulda, shoulda, woulda game all day long. But if the Cowboys had won that game last night, how hard are we ripping Jalen Carter today? Because how many avenues could that game have been wildly different if Jalen Carter was on the field? I feel like Dak Prescott was able to kind of expose a question mark of a secondary of the Eagles last night. Like, I don't think that we know coming off that game last night who the Eagles' second corner is. Adoree Jackson had a couple of DPIs last night. He was grabbing onto CeeDee Lamb's jersey early. That area and that part of the Eagles' defense is a question mark. What is a secondary's best friend, Fitz? It's a good pass rush. If you get home to the quarterback, the corners don't have to do their job and they don't have to get exposed. So there's so many elements of that game last night that I have to think, well, how much better could the Eagles defense have been, or how much more could the Cowboys offense have been exposed if Jalen Carter was out there on the field? So I know the Eagles won, and I know it's easy to just move on from it, but Jalen Carter did a big dumb thing that hurt his team. And if they showed the replay one more time with that fat loogie in the middle of the air, I was truly going to have to turn the TV off. That was a thick, hefty little loogie.
That is not inaccurate. Charles Robinson, our great reporter, pointed out last night on Twitter, that it's rare in these cases for spitting to result in any sort of additional punishment. I want to say that clearly. And as was smartly pointed out this morning by Dan Graziano, Jalen Carter ended up missing the entirety of this game, which the NFL may view already as having been essentially, air quotes, suspended for a game. There doesn't seem to be a lot of expectation of additional punishment. I just, again, want to remind every single person out there, if your argument could be spoken by a child and you would roll your eyes, then you shouldn't make that same argument. So if your argument is, well, Dak did it first, sit down, shut up, and color in your book. All right.